with Nerd Street Gamers, your weekly dose of gaming news. I'm DarfMike, coming to you live from our E3 feast because it's E3 week and we have got a feast of games. A million announcements, new titles, sequels, prequels, dequels, everything you could possibly want. It's been announced this week, so let's just jump into the action. There is so much to talk about. DICE couldn't contain themselves and elected to kick the party off early before E3, unveiling their new game. It's a new Battlefield 2042, and this one looks like a series classic. It's got everything Battlefield fans will know and love: massive tactical team battles, destructible terrain, vehicles strapped with C4, and people jumping out of planes mid-flight with rocket launchers. All the zany goodness amped up another level because now there's massive natural disasters rolling through, tornadoes, dust storms, missiles taking off mid-fight, all sorts of craziness that'll shape the battlefield around you and force you to adapt and overcome. And we've got a release date as well, folks. We know this game is coming later this year in October of 2021, so keep your eyes out for Battlefield 2042. Ubisoft had their digital conference and they brought a bevy of new titles to the fray. And they decided that to headline them, they would go with a game for a movie franchise that saw its last entry over a decade ago. Also, its only entry. The game is called Avatar: Frontiers of Pandora. That's right, that James Cameron movie that everyone was excited about for about a month. And apparently they've decided that now is the time to bring this franchise to the gaming screen. So if you've ever wanted to be a giant 10-foot tall alien that sticks their ponytail into other aliens' ponytails to control them and fly around the map, well, now you can. Who thought this game was a good idea? No one has thought about this franchise in at least 5 years, except for James Cameron, who keeps threatening to make a sequel to it. Maybe he'll finally get around to one of those now that the game's coming out. But, you know, I wouldn't hold your breath. Ubisoft also brought a bunch of other titles to the party. There's a new Mario plus Rabbids game if you wanted to play as the famous plumber accompanied by a bunch of crazy alien bunnies in turn-based combat. Now you can, again. There's also a new Rainbow Six game, this one called Rainbow Six Extraction, that takes the operators from Rainbow Six Siege and pits them against aliens. It looks pretty bizarre. The visuals look super cool. The gameplay could be a little bit weird. Not so sure how this gameplay is going to translate to PvE, but they're certainly going to give it a try. There's also Riders Republic, which we got more details about, a crazy downhill adrenaline-filled extreme sports game, and more details about Far Cry 6. Oh, and did we mention DLC? New DLC for Assassin's Creed Valhalla, new DLC for Watch Dogs Legion, oodles of content coming in the next calendar year, so keep an eye on Ubisoft. Microsoft had their E3 showcase, and man, did they break out the big guns. This is how you do E3, folks. They had hotly anticipated title after hotly anticipated title, gameplay trailers, dates, everything you could possibly want as a fan. They even managed to make their bazillion-dollar acquisition of Bethesda Game Studios look downright reasonable with some of the titles they had on display, starting with their new massive sci-fi franchise, Starfield. We don't know much about it yet. It seems to have a new engine, and we know it's releasing on 11/11 of 22, but the game looks sick. And that 11/11 date is always an auspicious one for the Bethesda games. There's also a Stalker 2, an Outer Wilds 2, a game called Redfall, which people thought was going to be the next Elder Scrolls game title back when Bethesda trademarked it, but instead it turns out it's Left 4 Dead, but with vampires? There's also this little-known game they displayed. I don't know if you've heard of it. It's called Halo. That's right, Halo Infinite is almost here. It's the game that was delayed a year, and it seems like it may have been worth it because the game looks awesome now. They showed a ton of multiplayer trailers and footage and gameplay as well, and it looks great. It looks like a return to the days of yore, to the days of Halo 2 and Halo 3, the games that cut this franchise's teeth and defined what it is to be a multiplayer shooter. 434 took, shall we say, an unfortunate detour with Halos 4 and 5. Now we're back to the roots. And the best part is that multiplayer game mode is going to be free to play. That's right, free to play right off the rip, whether you have the base game or not. And that should be massive for its player base. The best part of all of this is all of these games are going to be on Xbox Game Pass, the subscription service that Microsoft is trying to make too good of a deal to pass up. All of these games are coming pretty much on day one, and that is nuts. At this point, if you don't have Game Pass, it seems like you're just missing out.
It's free real estate.
Now, after some of those dynamite displays, it came time for Square Enix to take the stage, and instead of shining, they kind of fizzled. Didn't really have a whole lot to show. In the Final Fantasy department, we're getting some Final Fantasy remasters. Oh yay, more of those. Not really a whole lot about other titles. In fact, you would have been okay for mistaking this to be a full Marvel presentation, because most of the time was spent talking about their tentpole disaster last year, the Avengers game that completely flopped. They're getting a new DLC. Black Panther's coming to it. You're gonna go battle in Wakanda. Maybe Black Panther's superpowered enough to save that particular title. They also unveiled their new title, Guardians of the Galaxy, which looks fun. Let's hope they don't mess up this giant franchise. It's coming this year on October 26th of 2021. So keep an eye out for that one. Still, though, a bit disappointing that there wasn't more in store there from Square Enix. We'll have to see if maybe they're holding something in reserve. Nintendo had their Direct, and in true Nintendo fashion, it was distinctly underwhelming. It started with a Smash Fighter reveal, Kazuya from the Tekken series, which again, Nintendo, you've kind of missed the point here. The point of Smash is to add characters who wouldn't normally be in a fighting game to a fighting game. If you just keep adding Street Fighter and Tekken characters, they're already in fighting games. We could just go play their games if we want to know what that's like. But whatever, Kazuya's in. They also unveiled a bunch of new titles, most of which were remasters of decades-old games. That's right, they're still gonna charge you full price for all of them. There's an Advance Wars remaster, there's a Monkey Ball remaster, there's a lot of Danganronpa remasters, because apparently there's a big audience for that. We also got a new WarioWare game, a trailer for Shin Megami Tensei 5, and a new Metroid game. But not the one you're thinking of. No mention of Metroid Prime 4, no details about that, but we are getting Metroid Dread, a side-scroller, which will probably be pretty cool. Now, the biggest teaser came right at the tail end, where they gave the fans what they were hungry for. A little bit of details about Breath of the Wild 2, but not before giving them some details about the expansion pass for Age of Calamity that, less of a something we care about. Still, the trailer for Breath of the Wild 2 looked awesome. Not a lot of details about it. Link gets some sort of crazy cool demon arm. Zelda falls into a pit. There's castles flying in the sky. It looks bonkers. And we also got a year, folks. 2022, the game is supposed to release. When in 2022? I don't know yet. Will they keep to that date? Seems unlikely. But we should get more information about Breath of the Wild 2 and hopefully the game sometime next year. That's it for this week on Field of View with Nerd Street Gamers, your weekly dose of gaming news. Now the party's winding down, we've announced all the titles, and you know, I might have gone just a bit too hard on this one. I'm just gonna rest my eyes for a little bit and, where am I? Oh, not this again, come on!